Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to the next Cutter Top 10 video. And we're going to finish our NBA thinking caps on with the top 10 NBA finishes of all time. Finish him! Not that way. But anyway, we're going to talk about the top 10 NBA finishes of all time. It doesn't always have to be a fantastic finish. There were no real regular season finishes of all time. Just to let you know. There was one that was close to making the list, but in the end, he just missed out. And that was Derek White for the Celtics against the Heat in the 2023 NBA semifinals, or the Eastern Finals, if you will. It was Game 6, Celtics down 3 games to 2, and they seemed to flail the shot, which would give Miami the win and win Game 6 and go on to the NBA Finals. But then Derek White, out of freaking nowhere, flipped a layup and put it in. They took a look at the scoreboard. They looked at the score clock. It was 0.1 seconds. It was enough time. Yeah, it was out of his hand with 0.1 seconds left. And Kobe aside. But yeah, Derek White made that shot. Celtics did lose Game 7, so they can't really have that much. All right, here we go. Number 10 is Kobe Bryant's heroics in the 2006 playoffs, Lakers Suns Game 4. So the Lakers were up 2 games to 1 on the Phoenix Suns with, my man Steve Nash and Amar'e Stoudemire. The Lakers, Kobe Bryant made a critical shot late in regulation to tie the game, send it overtime, and then they had to have a jump ball in at center. Luke Walton tipped the ball to Kobe. Kobe flipped the shot, the 2-pointer in at the buzzer, a pull-up jumper. Lakers were up 3 games to 1 on the Suns, and it looked good for the Lakers. Sadly, though, they would actually choke that 3 games to 1 series lead, so that's kind of why it was low on this list. Number 9 is LeBron's winner, Cavs Magic 2009. Like I was going to give LeBron's shot against Toronto any credence. Like, fuck that. I'm sorry, but that's just me. LeBron in the 2009 playoffs was good. The Cavs were just a few years away from their finals appearance against the Spurs, which they got swept. Cavs and Magic were battling tooth and nail for the Eastern Finals. Orlando was up 1 game to 0. LeBron needed to do a catch and shoot shot with 1 second left to tie the series, which he did. It was one game all his playoff legend. But what even makes this more critical was not what was on the court. It was off the court. Because Cleveland, when they were doing the TV news and the Magic were beating the Lakers, Cavs, they were basically saying, "Oh well, better luck next year." And then the sports guy goes bonkers after seeing LeBron's 3-pointer. Cavs win, Cavs win, Cavs win. It seems like he's jumping on one of the co-anchors. So the Cavs beat the Magic, but didn't win the series. Orlando went to the finals and got taken up by the Lakers. All right. Number 8 is Ralph Sampson, 1986 Rockets Lakers. The LA Lakers were dominant in the 80s. 84, they lost the final to the Celtics in Game 7 at Boston Garden, but in 85, they got revenge on the Celtics, winning in 6 games, and finally, winning a playoff series against the Celtics for the first time ever. They never had beaten the Celtics in a playoff series. Never. So the Lakers finally got revenge. But in 86, they were looking good. It was the conference finals against the upstart Houston Rockets, who had Hakeem, Sampson, and a few other key pieces. The only problem for Houston in Game 5, with the series 3-1 for the Houston, was that Hakeem Olajuwon got ejected for a fight and all that. So he was out of luck. I think James Worthy got booted too. But anyway, yeah, Ralph Sampson comes through. They pass him the ball. He volleyballs it, and it bounces into the net. And the Rockets shocked the Lakers in Game 5 of the Western Finals to face the Boston Celtics for the title. And of course, they sprawled out look of disbelief from number 21 of the Lakers, Michael Cooper was there too. But yeah, Ralph Sampson did it. The Rockets were going to the finals against the Celtics. They fought hard. They lost in 6, but the Celtics just proved their worthiness. Number 7 is Jerry West and a 60-footer, Lakers Knicks 1970 NBA Finals. This would be higher, but there were things at play. So the Knicks with Dave DeBusschere in Game 3, with the series tied 1-1, flipped a shot. It was in 102-100. So then they needed, with 2 seconds left, the Lakers needed to take a shot. So Jerry West put up a 60-foot shot. The Heat tied the game at the buzzer. The only problem is that this was before the 3-point line in 1979. So if the 3-point line existed, Jerry West's shot would be top five for sure, because that would have won the game on a 60-footer. Can you believe it? A 60-footer to win a NBA Finals game? Unfortunately, though, it only counted for two at the time, and the Lakers lost in overtime and lost the series in seven. But yeah, Jerry West was good. Anyway, number 6 is Gar Hurd's shot heard around the world. Suns Celtics 1976. So the Suns shocked a lot of people by getting to the 76 NBA Finals by beating the defending champion Golden State Warriors. So Phoenix would be up against Boston in their Phoenix's first trip to the finals. Boston were dominant. 1974, they were the champs, and they were hoping to be the champs in 1976. So it looked big. In game five, was it? Yeah. In game five, it was one heck of a game. The Celtics were up 3-1 and looking to end Phoenix's chances to win the title. And so they thought they did. Of course, there was something called the infinitive timeout loophole, that Boston purposely called a timeout when they didn't have a timeout. Or was it Phoenix? But anyway, yeah. The Celtics made a shot. They're up by 2. The Suns knew that with the infinite timeout thing that they would get the ball at half court. In the second overtime, the fans rushed out on the field on the court thinking that Boston had won the game, but there's like still time left. And Manny Rudolph, the referee, was actually attacked by Boston fans. Nevertheless, the Suns knew what to do. With 1 second left, they needed to make a shot, and of course, no three-point line. So they got the ball. Gar Hurt somehow made a turnaround jumper and bounced it in the second overtime to tie the game, put the Boston fans back in their seats. So that was bad. But Glenn McDonald, coming from Long Island University, had the third overtime of his life. He made it. Celtics beat the Suns in the third overtime. Well, sorry, that series was 2-2. But yeah, Glenn McDonald did it, and then the Celtics won game 6 in Phoenix for the title. Number 5 is Ray Allen's corner 3, 2013 NBA Finals. The Heat were looking to go back-to-back Applejacks. San Antonio never makes it easy on anybody. San Antonio had never lost an NBA Finals as a franchise. They were trying to go for the 6-0 mark that only one other team had done, and that would be the Bulls. But you didn't know the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, you know they had 2 3-peats, but did you not know that they have never went to the finals other than those 6 years? Nevertheless, Heat and Spurs were playing game 6. The Spurs were winning, and it looked like the Spurs were going to take out Miami once and for all. The fans were leaving in droves. LeBron had a shot, a three-pointer, and he missed. And then he found Ray Allen backpedaling in the right corner. He shoots the 3 behind the line, tied the game, and then Miami went to overtime in game 6. They won that game, and the fans were trying to get back into the arena, but you can't do that. Once you leave, you're fucked. But the Heat won game 7, but the Spurs get revenge in 2014, so doesn't matter. Number 4 is John Stockton sending Utah to the finals. Jazz Rockets 97. The 97 Western Final between Utah and Houston was amazing because you had Charles Barkley playing for Houston, you had Stockton and Malone for Utah, perpetually tied with the Utah team forever. And Utah not being much of a basketball market, they say, because of the Mormon life. That's what people thought. Anyway, game 4 saw Eddie Johnson made an improbable 3-pointer to tie the series in Houston. And then the Jazz won game 5 back home. And then game 6 in Houston, the game was tied when John Stockton was all alone. Nobody guarded him. Charles Barkley tried to deflect the shot, but then John Stockton puts the 3 ball, and it was one of the greatest calls by Greg Gumbel, RIP. But anyway, Stockton did his job. Utah went to the finals for the first time in franchise history. It was like, how do you leave John Stockton wide open? He's a 3-point specialist. The Jazz would lose the NBA Finals in 6 to the Bulls, but still, that was impressive. Number 3 is Derek Fisher's miracle shot in the 2004 playoffs. I thought it was the 2003 playoffs, but no, it's 2004. Lakers Spurs. Lakers and Spurs were in the second round, I like to say. It was 2-2 in the series. Um, Tim Duncan thought he won the game with zero point 0.4 seconds left on a shot, which was pretty impressive. Al Michaels said so himself for when ABC had stuff and he was broadcasting basketball. However, they still had time, zero point 0.4 seconds. They had to do a catch and turn as Derek Fisher caught the ball in one motion, turned and made an improbable shot, sending the Lakers to the win in San Antonio. They had to review it, and then basically the commentators for ABC said, "We hate to be shills, but we love this is why we love the game." And Derek Fisher was an icon. Number 2 is the perpetual shot, MJ Bulls Cavs 89. The Chicago Bulls were okay, but by 1984 they were picking third overall. Houston had the number 1 pick, and they picked up Hakeem Olajuwon from the University of Houston, obviously. Then Portland had the pick from Indiana. Indiana would have been the number 2 pick, but yeah, Portland had the pick, and they took Sam Bowie, who was supposed to solve their center problems in Kentucky. And, many teams needed a dominant center to be NBA champs. That's what Portland thought. Of course, Sam Bowie missed 2 seasons in Kentucky because of leg fracture. Leg fracture problems, so commonly known in male ballerinas. But anyhow, Portland got bit by the Sam Bowie, and MJ did well. The Bulls in 1986, he had that 63-point game in double overtime. They lost to the Celtics, though. But yeah, MJ, 88, the slam dunk competition. And then 89, he came in his own with a big shot against Cavs. It was the 5th and deciding game when first round series were best of 5. That was the case before 2003 came in. And then MJ was left wide open. Craig Elo, who was a good defender, was trying to stop him. And then MJ pulled the ball over him. Dick Stockton was happy as can be calling the game for CBS with that shot. It was the defining image of playoff clutch performance. But you got to hear the Bulls announcers the radio announcers when they did that one. Good Bulls win! Santa Cleveland Cavaliers 105-103. 18,000 fans are stunned in Cleveland. That was amazing. It proved the Bulls were decent. The Bulls would take care of business and get to the Eastern Finals, losing to the Pistons. But still, MJ brought himself on it. And a few years later, the Bulls would be NBA champions. But nothing can compare to number 1. I know you're going to call bias. I don't give a flying you-know-what. But yeah, it is Kawhi Leonard's shot, Raptors Sixers 2019 playoffs. So the 2019 playoffs were big. The Raptors were coming in their own. They had a tough fight with the 76ers in 2019. Shades of 2001, if you must know. But the fact of the matter is that, it went down to Game 7. The Raptors thought they had Game 7 in the bag, but Joel Embiid and a few other Sixers made sure that it happened. I think Jimmy Butler was on that team. Anyway, yeah, the Sixers tied the game with like 4 seconds left. The Raptors took a timeout. They could inbound from half court. The ball was to Kawhi Leonard, who had shot lots of points in that Game 7, 39 of them before this one. And then Kawhi took the shot, jumped over the defender, and the ball went boom, 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 in. 4 bounces, it went in the net. Unlike 2001 when Vince Carter did the shot that kept bouncing and missing the net. Kawhi bounced a couple times, went in the hoop, and Kevin Harlan's famous call, Game Series, Toronto has won, resonates to people. Of course, Matt Devlin's call for the Raptors on Sportsnet was different too, but yeah, everyone knew about the Kevin Harlan call. But yeah, the Raptors won Game 7, and it was only the second time in history that a deciding game was ended on a buzzer beater shot. Of course, MJ's was number 1, but that was best of 5. So Kawhi's was the first best of 7 series to end in Game 7 on a buzzer beater. And still is to this day, mind you. So that's how good Kawhi's shot was. And of course, Kawhi would help the Raptors beat the Bucks after being down 2-0 in the conference finals, and then they took Golden State to Steph Curry and my man Iguodala. But yeah, you can't take that title away from Toronto. And Kawhi's coming back in 2026. He better produce. He better. And so that's a decent finish for me. I'm Jeff Diamond, a dude.